we talk about all the different trends on social media. Some of them are great, really positive, and we're all like encouraged by them, but some of them are more negative. Here's one example: sad fishing.
So anybody with a soul or a heart is probably wondering what's wrong and what happened and why I'm crying on an Instagram story right now. Well, let me tell you, I'm not. That was also just a filter. So now we have filters to make ourselves hotter, to make ourselves look more emotional. So now it's like, not only do we have to worry about catfishing, but now we have to worry about sad fishing. This is weird.
So sadfishing is becoming increasingly popular among Gen Z and is being made even easier thanks to filters. So it's when you post sad and emotional stories for sympathy or even quotes or memes. But is it just attention getting, or is it actually something that requires a genuine call for help?
So we wanted to bring in an expert, a therapist, Lavonda, the owner of Truth Center for Health and Healing. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming. Awesome. So kind of walk us through, what are you seeing in your practice?
So what we're seeing, sadfishing is something that the American Journal of College Health in 2021 defined as social media users going on the internet to exaggerate their emotional state, right? And so we are super concerned around what's happening for our teens, right? They're going on the internet, they're seeking connection, and they're looking for someone to see how they're feeling, right? So it may look like a really vague post, or it could look like a video or a quote that maybe you don't quite know what it means, but there's something there that calls you to reach out to them and say, what's happening for you?
So it's attention seeking in a kind of negative way, in that, you're just, and you see like, oh, it works for somebody else. They said they were all sad, and, and they got all these clicks and likes, and that's what I want too. What's the harm in this?
So the harm is that people could actually identify it as sad fishing, right? And so if you have your peers, they're at a very influential age where it's like popularity. So they can call somebody out, say, you're sad fishing, and they won't be believed, right? And so if you have something that's truly going on, like you have a hard time with your family, or you're struggling within friendships, you don't even know that like something bad is happening for that person, and their peers could identify it as not true.
It's like the boy that cried wolf.
Yes.
And so with that, I mean, a lot of people were talking about being an example of perhaps just looking for attention, but for you, when you say it could be more, what does that more mean? Are we talking suicidal tendencies?
All of that is possible, right? It could be anxiety, it could be depression, the gambit is wide. And so you just have to be really mindful of how you respond to that post and look out for them as parents and caregivers, because it could truly be something that is real going on and happening for our teens.
Let's give another example. There's so many out there all over the internet. We have another video sad fishing example that we will take a look at, possibly. It's a cry for help. So it's one of those where you're seeing in your practice such a disconnection. So here it is. This is an influencer. And so this is showing the example of like setting up the camera, intentionally trying to manipulate people's feelings and being like, I'm crying in the corner and I'm just in a little fetal position in a ball. As a trend, you also see that our teens are just not connected. They don't know how to talk to each other.
None at all. And so because they're always in their phones, our heads are down, they don't know to say like, I'm actually feeling really bad today. Or they're scared to, they don't feel safe enough to. And so it's up to like parents or caregivers, teachers, anyone who has contact with these teens to model for them, how are you feeling? What's going on? And not necessarily what's wrong with you, but what's happening for you. And I'm letting them know that you're there and that you can provide support for them in a non-judgmental way.
How do you do that? Especially if you see a post, you don't know how to respond. Like you said, it could be a cry wolf response. How do you properly respond to someone that may post something online?
So if you see it online, I would say as a parent, don't necessarily identify that you've seen the post, right? Because teens need their privacy. And you can just say like, hey, you've been looking a little bit down lately. What's going on? I'm here if you need to talk to me. But if you're like a family member or a friend and you actually see the post online, it's okay. DM them, send them a private message. Say, I see that something's going on for you. How can I help? Do you need anything? If you don't want to invade, reach out to the parent. That's also okay to let them know you've seen something, because sometimes they have private accounts that maybe parents don't have access to.
That's a good point. Sometimes my sister will do that. She'll be, have she seen one of my kids' accounts? She's like, "Did you see your kid's story?" And I'll be like, "Oh gosh."
And you can't catch everything, right? So
It's really helpful. Fast information, seconds at a time.
yes.
Thanks so much for coming in. We
Thank
really
you.
appreciate it, and we'll have to have you back.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome.